Ja, herzlich willkommen. Welcome. There are several people in Germany, the Buddhist Society and Tibetan Center requested this talk by Thubten Chodron that she kindly agreed upon to answer several questions that students sent in on the topic on how rely to a spiritual mentor or the reliance on spiritual mentors. So this is a benefits event. So if you are inclined to help Sravasti Abbey, to help the monastics here, to donate towards the Buddha Hall, especially now, to finish that big project, to support the Vinaya, to spread in the West and to flourish deeply and profoundly, then you can go on the website of Sravasti Abbey and find the donation button there. Yeah, I hope you will enjoy this talk. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good evening to everybody in Germany and Europe. Good night to all of those who are sleeping in India. Okay, let's start with our usual prayers before teachings, a little bit of silent meditation, and then we'll have the talk, and the talk is a bunch of Q&A. Okay, so hopefully that will cover some of your cues as well.
I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create, by instinct to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create, by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create, by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes.
May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings not be separated from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger.
Ayata Om Mune Mune Maha Mune Soha. Ayata Om Mune Mune Maha Mune Soha. Ayata Om Mune Mune Maha Mune Soha.
Let's remember our motivation. And that as Dharma practitioners, we're not seeking our own welfare alone. We're not here simply to calm our own minds so that this life goes better. But we're really intent on cultivating a long-term motivation of bodhicitta, placing the welfare of others as equal to or more important than our own, and having the intent and the promise, the aspiration to work for the benefit of sentient beings until samsara is empty. No matter how long that takes, no matter what we have to go through, this is the purpose of our lives, and this is what we're going to do. To develop that intention without stopping yourself by thinking, oh, that's too hard, that's too difficult, I can't do that, I just want something simple. Don't denigrate yourself like that. You have the potential to become a fully awakened Buddha. group in Hamburg where Venerable Jampa stays and works and leads meditations and gives talks. They made a list of questions they wanted to talk about the relationship with the spiritual mentor. And they made a list of questions, very, very good questions. I've done a few sessions now with questions from the Hamburg Dharma College and now with this group. And I found that the Germans are asking really good questions. Okay, so the questions are good. The answers, you can decide on. Okay, so the first one. Why, in this information age, do we need a spiritual mentor? Good question, isn't it? Why, in times of easily accessible information, also given the risks of pandemic and the abusive behavior within Buddhism, why do we need a personal relationship with a spiritual mentor? We have access to information and teachers who teach online. Why is that not sufficient? Yeah, sounds like a reasonable question. Until you have a relationship with a teacher, and then you realize how important that is, and how, put it this way, yes, there's a lot of information online. If you were a baby, would you want your parents just being online programs telling you what to do? Yeah, here's how to, go potty. Here's how to put on your clothes. Here's how to go to school. Somebody just instructing you, giving you all the information. That's all you need, and you're 3 years old and you can do it all by yourself. And when you get to be 6, then you can tell other people how to do it. Okay, well, yeah, you're gonna go through your childhood relived like that? Yeah, there is a big difference between a human being and a machine. Yeah, even if the machine shows the screen of human beings. Yeah, seeing somebody's face on the screen is totally different than being in their presence. Yeah, it's completely different when you're, especially with a spiritual practice, when you're in the room with somebody who is telling you about the path, and you know that they're also practicing it and doing the best they can, and that they're going to help you through their own experience. That's very different than typing a question into AI that says, I'm distracted in my meditation, what do I do? Yeah, AI is going to give you a great answer. Yeah. Is that going to inspire you? Yeah. Oh, AI cares about my spiritual practice. Yeah. I don't think so. So, being in a room with a live teacher, being in a room with other practitioners who are studying, we need that. We need to know that other people understand our spiritual yearning, that we're not in a desert with just a screen to look at. Yeah, but there's other people who are practicing, who support our practice, whose practice we support, who we practice with, who encourage us, who, when we talk openly, we find out we have the same problems, and we can empathize with each other and encourage each other. Yeah, are you going to get that from a computer? Okay, so the personal relationship, I think, is very important. Now, does the personal relationship mean that that teacher has to know me, and they know my name, and they know my story, and, I'm special? Well, some of our teachers, don't have a lot of disciples, and they know us personally. Some of our teachers, like the Dalai Lama, where there's thousands of people coming to listen to the teachings, actually hundreds of thousands of people coming to listen. There may not be that personal relationship, but, what I found out is when you sit in those teachings, and if you listen properly, the Dalai Lama is talking directly to you. It doesn't matter how many tens or hundreds of thousands of other people are in the room. What he's saying applies to me, applies to you. I can't say, well, I'm only following the Guru's instructions that they give me in person, but the teachings that they give to lots of people, I don't have to follow. Those weren't given to me. If those weren't given to you, who's the Dalai Lama talking to? When he says, have a kind heart, forgive other people, he's not talking to you. You don't need to have a kind heart. When he talks about being courageous and facing difficulties, you don't look at him as a human being who's been in exile from his own homeland for how many years now? Somebody who's been called every name in the book by the communist Chinese government, somebody who's responsible for the welfare of their own people in exile. And you don't have a feeling of him talking to you directly, personally, when he talks about having to have courage in the path. We get very confused, and we think the personal instructions are when our teacher tells us, please get me a cup of tea. When they think, they told me to get a cup of tea. I'm running to the kitchen to make them a cup of tea. Everybody else, get out of here. He didn't ask you to make the cup of tea. I'm the one who gets to make the cup of tea and gracefully go in and present it to the teacher. So all the rest of you, get out of here. You're in my way. Is that following your teacher's instructions? You want to help the teacher, but who does the teacher value more than themselves? If you have a good teacher who's practicing bodhicitta, who do they value more than themselves? Other sentient beings. So who are you being rude and nasty to by kicking them out of the kitchen? We want to wash the teacher's dishes, but we don't want to wash the dishes of our fellow practitioners. We're not understanding something. Shantideva talks a lot about this, and if you really listen to your teachers closely, this is what's going on. But we come in and we want that personal attention. We want the mom and dad that we always dreamed of, who always understood us, who was always so compassionate, who always said, it's okay, dear, don't worry, just like our teachers do, until they scold us because we're behaving poorly. Then it's like, oh, I thought they loved me. Now they're mad at me. Oh, they don't have bodhicitta. And anyway, I can't practice well. I'm a mess. I can't do this. This is too difficult for me. I'm going to go do something else. I. Yeah? So what's going on? Yeah, what's going on? It takes us, we have to be patient with ourselves. And yes, at the beginning and the middle and lots of times, it's all about me, isn't it? Yeah, I want the teacher's attention. I don't care if they have to go pee. I'm going to stop them in front of the toilet because I have a question. You know, yeah, believe me, that happens. You know, I want their attention. They should give it to me. Yeah, they cherish me more than they cherish anybody else. So I want some attention right now. Yeah. And they ignore us. Yeah. Have you ever been in that situation? All you want is your teacher's attention because you got to ask a question and they don't talk to you. Yeah. And you go, oh. Okay. Right? This happens. It happened to me. I'm not telling you anything that hasn't happened to me. Okay. Okay. So why is a teacher important? There's a personal connection and with somebody who's actually doing the practice and who cares about you doing the practice. That doesn't mean that they call you every morning and saying, are you doing your practice and how it's going? Yeah. Can you imagine if the Dalai Lama had to do that every morning? Oh, goodness. Yeah. Or even not His Holiness, you know, one of our other teachers had to call everybody in the morning. How are you doing? Do you have self-confidence? Are you doing your practice? Yeah. Did you make offerings on the altar? Yeah. No, that's not going to happen. But when you have a heart connection with your teacher, you know what they would like you to do. And you're not doing it because they would like it. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And if you do that, it will help yourself and you will be able to help other sentient beings. Yeah. So there is a line in the Succession Guru Yoga, may I do only what pleases you. Yeah. That line totally drove me crazy. Yeah. Because it sounded to me like Sunday school, where you're supposed to do what pleases God, but you don't know exactly what pleases God. Yeah, God made the rules. Sometimes you're supposed to fight, sometimes you're supposed to be compassionate. I never understood God very well. Yeah, I couldn't get some, well, for a number of reasons. But anyway, yeah, I'm not doing my practice to please my teacher. Yeah. If I were, my teacher would probably ignore me even more. I'm doing my practice because I've listened to the teachings and I know from my own experience and from using logic and reasoning that these teachings are reliable and they work. And I've seen the example in real living people who have practiced them. Yeah, so a living teacher is important. Okay, next question. What is the specialness of a personal relationship? It's not what I just described. They're thinking of me. I remember being in the middle of a retreat, and thinking, oh, I'm meditating so well, and my teacher has clairvoyant powers, and he knows that I'm meditating very well, and he's very proud of me and thinks that I'm one of his best students. And as soon as I thought that thought, I burst out laughing in my meditation, because that thought shows, what does that thought show? That I'm missing the whole point. And that what I was doing was that kind of self-centeredness is the opposite of what my teacher is trying to encourage in me. Okay, the next question is, how and where can I find a real teacher? Well, in the old days, you used to be able to take out the yellow pages. You remember, some of you know what I'm talking about. And you looked in the yellow pages, and you could find a teacher. Then it got a little bit more difficult, and you had to look for flyers. So you had to go around a different place and look for flyers. That's how I met my teachers. Somebody put a flyer in Bodhi Tree Bookstore on Melrose Avenue in Los Angeles, in June of 1975. Some person put one flyer there. Look what one person did. Some action that took very little time, but look at the impact it had on my life. Without that flyer, I wouldn't be here. So I always feel very grateful to the person who put the flyer there. Okay, so then looking for flyers, that became old too. Then how do you find a real teacher? You go on social media and you see who's getting the most clicks. And you look at what people are saying about different teachers. And then you just, it's like shopping for a computer. You just look at all the specs, and you look at what the people say on social media, and then you make your choice, and you don't buy that teacher, you find them somewhere. Okay, actually, this is how we approach a student-teacher relationship nowadays. It's kind of like, because we are so consumer-oriented, that even though we may not find our teacher in that way, once we have a teacher, we have a very consumer-oriented mind. I'm coming here because I want the teachings. It is your job to give me the teachings. And I want the teachings that I want to hear. I don't want to hear Karma 101 again. I'm beyond that. I don't want to hear, Guhya Samaja Tantra either. I'm not up to that one. I want to hear about love and light and bliss. I want to hear about the lower realms. I don't even know if they exist. I don't want to hear about death and impermanence. That exists, but it doesn't exist for me, and I'm going to ignore it. I want light and love and bliss, and you're responsible for giving me my light and love and bliss. And if you do that, I will join the membership of the organization, because many Dharma organizations require membership now. We don't do that here. Okay. Or you think, oh, you gave the teaching I like, I'll put more money in the dana basket. Yeah. So we think of it as a consumer relationship. Somebody gives me what I want and I pay them. Yeah. Until your teacher asks you to do a project for them. Yeah. Or to help out with something. And then one part of you goes, oh, goody, now I'm going to be special. I get to go in the teacher's room and ask them how to do the project and get the special instructions. Ooh. You know, you either go like that or you go, wait, no, I don't want to do that. I'm just here to get the teachings. I go home. I do something in my practice. I pay my dues. And no, I don't want to get involved in the center, in the monastery. Yeah. It's too crazy there. No, actually, I have to compete with all the other people there for the teacher's attention. I grew up, quote, quote, my initial teacher, everybody, you know, wanted the teacher's attention and was vying for the teacher's attention and was jealous when somebody else got it. Yeah. But we were all baby beginners. We were just up from Freak Street. Yeah, Freak Street, you know, Freak Street in Kathmandu. Yeah, where all the freaks went and got some dope and then wandered up the hill to Gopan and said, hi, Lama. You want some dope? Lama looks at you. Okay. Yeah, so maybe we can be forgiven. Maybe we can't. We still create a lot of negative karma. But we also grew up over time, so I think we're a better cohort now. Okay, I would be interested to know how Venerable Chodron sees opportunities to build personal teacher-student relationships in online settings. There's a lot of challenges to doing that. First of all, I think online is good for people who don't live close to a center, don't live close to their teacher. You know, it enables them to receive teachings. However, you know, if you make that relationship one where you just watch the teacher at, you know, whatever time it is, every Friday night or Saturday morning or whatever, but you don't really connect on a heart level, then something is missing. Okay, and it's easier for the student, I think, to get to know the teacher online and, you know, have a sense of how that teacher teaches, how they guide students and so on. You know, if you're watching online, you're watching the teacher. However, you're online and that teacher doesn't know you. Okay, if you've been to the Abbey or been to where your teacher has been before, they may know you. Yeah, but even like right now, I'm giving this talk, I don't know who's online watching it. Yeah, it may be some people I know, it may be people I don't know, it may be a mixture. It's probably a mixture of both. Okay, but what happens to me is people have watched the teachings online, they know me, and then I'm somewhere in India, you know, either trying to renew my visa or going to the chai shop or in line for teachings, and somebody goes, hi, Venerable Chodron, it's so nice to meet you. Do you know me? And I'm like, Sometimes I may have met the person, but it was in a room with 100 people. And when I'm giving a talk to 100 people, I don't memorize what each person's face looks like and what they're wearing and learn their name afterwards. Yeah. So it's harder for the teacher to establish a personal relationship online because they don't really know who's watching. Okay. So that's why, one of the reasons why I think it's important not just watching online, but making an effort to go where the teacher is teaching live. Okay. So going back to the question of finding a teacher, it's there's not a one-way thing to do it. And you can't have the mind of, I'm shopping around for a teacher. That mind, that's the consumer mind, isn't it? Yeah. Who of you holy beings wants to have me as a disciple? Put your applications here. If you have that attitude, you're going to have a hard time practicing the Dharma. Yeah. Everybody's really different. For me, there were a few different spiritual groups. I was living in LA, so there were lots of spiritual groups at that time, all advertised in the New Age newspaper with a $99.99 special price for you bargain of joining the classes or whatever. I went to, I think, two things, one group, another group. Nothing much grabbed me. And then I saw that flyer in Bodhi Tree Bookstore on Melrose Avenue in June 1975. And I thought, because I had been to India before, I had been to, what was interesting is in my trekking in the Himalayas, the furthest place I had gone was the village where my teacher was born, but I didn't know my teacher at that time. But it was the village where he was born. Okay. Anyway, I saw this flyer, a nun was giving some courses, a lecture about Tibetans in exile. Okay. So I thought, I was in Nepal. I had gotten some nice rice prints of Buddhist deities, not because I had any faith in them, but because they were really cool. And when I put them in my apartment, when my friends come over, they would all look and say, "Where did you get that?" And then this was 1975. Hardly anybody had been to India. I could say, wow, I went overland to India. You see what kind of personality I had. So, so I went to that course. No, I went to her lecture. Yeah. And the lamas were coming in to Los Angeles, and some other people who knew them were coming in and needed a place to stay. So I said, we have a flat, somebody can stay with us. So this one woman came to stay with us. She had met the lamas years before, and she wanted to go to LA International Airport to meet them. And so I drove her. Yeah. So there was me. I had my long hair down to here. Yeah. My Mexican embroidered blouse, my Indian, very colorful full skirt, my anklets from India that jingled when you walk. Okay. So I drove her to LAX. Yeah. And these two Tibetans, walked out of the plane. And I started talking to one of them. And, where are you coming from? Oh, we're coming from Hawaii now. Oh, what were you doing in Hawaii? Oh, we were teaching, and we went and looked at a lot of different things. And then Zopa Rinpoche proceeded to tell me about the dolphins that they saw in SeaWorld or in something. Maybe they were coming from San Diego and not somewhere where there was like SeaWorld and dolphins. So he starts talking to me about dolphins, and oh yeah, I've seen dolphins too. I went to SeaWorld. They're really cool animals. And we had a great conversation about dolphins. Okay, that was the level of spiritual material, spiritual progress that I was at the time. We could talk about dolphins. Okay, anyway, they were leading a course over the summer. And as a teacher, I had the summer off. So I went to the course. It was 3 weeks. I went for 2 weeks, didn't want to overdo it. And what they said during those 2 weeks was like that, it was astounding what I heard, because I had always wondered, why am I alive? What's the purpose of my life? When I die, what will I have to show for living? What makes my life valuable? And I couldn't see just duplicating my parents' life. There was no interest in that. Yeah. You have to remember, these were the days when the movie The Graduate was, the big one. You remember The Graduate? Yeah. Yeah, we should watch that sometime. Then you would see what our mentality was like. Yeah. So, so I just was there and I listened and I thought about what they said, and the more I checked it out, because they said, think about it, question it, the more I did that, the more it made sense. And then after the course, I did a retreat and I started a daily practice. And I saw, wow, this meditation helps me. Yeah, I think I'm a little bit kinder. I don't know, you have to ask everybody else. But it's something valuable. And I had this thought that if, because they were just traveling and this was in Los Angeles, I thought, and there was no center around at all. And I thought, I need to learn more. And if I don't learn more, I'm going to regret it. So I quit my job, packed up my stuff, and went back to Nepal, where they had a monastery. And the rest is water under the bridge. Okay. But that's how I met my teachers. Other people, it really, I think, depends a lot on your karma. Some people go to many, many teachers, and it's kind of like 31 flavors. They want to taste. Yeah, you have 31 flavors in Germany. Yeah, you understand. Yeah, an ice cream store with at least 31 flavors. Yeah, I'm sure Germany has maybe 52. But, so you go and you want to taste everything before you decide what you're going to eat. Okay. So you go around to all the Dharma centers, all the teachers, take a little this, take a little that, put it all together, and telling yourself that you'll choose afterwards. No, some people need to do that. And in the middle of doing that, going to many teachers, there's one teacher that really grabs them. Not this way. No, you stay away from those teachers. But somebody who really grabs you spiritually, who says something that really touches your heart, and is like giving you a whole new way to see your life. And, you want to learn more. Yeah. I mean, I never went to my teachers and said, will you be my teachers? Because I didn't know anything. the only thing I knew was whatever they said helped me, and it made sense. So I kept going back. And then after a while, when somebody talked to me about, you have teachers, if you've taken precepts with them, I guess they're my teachers. I never asked them. They never said anything to me, but they can't get rid of me. Yeah. Because I went and I lived in their monastery. So people are very different. Many people need to try things out. Some people try a few things and then something really grabs them. And it's like, yes, this is what they're saying really touches my heart, and they're a good role model for me. And what they're saying makes sense. So I'm following. Yeah. In Tibetan Buddhism, you can have more than one teacher. Yeah. And they say Atisha had 147 teachers, something like that. But he regarded them all with, incredible respect and admiration and so on. So we can have many teachers. And I think we need different teachers for different things, because some teachers emphasize this and some teachers emphasize that. Some teachers, don't have a lot of students. You have a lot of time to go and visit them and talk about the Dharma. Some teachers have so many students that they don't know you. Yeah, but they don't know your name and who you are personally. But I mean, you can learn something from all these teachers, and they all touch your heart in a different way. Yeah. Of course, you may go to something and how the teacher's coming off to you, or, the feeling you're getting from the group, it's like, you get what I mean, yeah? So you don't go back, yeah? Or maybe you go back a little bit, it's okay, I want to learn more. But then after a while, you said, you found another thing that's valuable. Okay. But as soon as, when you take somebody as one of your teachers, yeah, then there's a special relationship there, in the sense that that's somebody you really trust in talking about where you are spiritually, where you are mentally and emotionally. Yeah. And it's somebody you trust. It's somebody whose view you want to hear. Yeah. It's somebody who's teaching you something that you never even thought of before. That is really valuable. Yeah. And so the relationship begins that way. It's always good, I think, and the teachings recommend this, that we check out a teacher beforehand, okay? So we don't just rely on what social media is saying, and this teacher is the most supercalifragilisticexpialidocious teacher you have ever met. Come one, come all. He's giving highest yoga tantra initiations for a special price, and this is the only chance you have to get it, before you fall in the lower realms. So come. Yeah. No, that may not be what attracts you. Okay. Yeah. Maybe what should attract us is, we read the flyer, the teacher is teaching the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. The teacher is teaching thought training, mind training. They're teaching the stages of the path. They're teaching bodhicitta. They're teaching something about emptiness and impermanence and the Four Noble Truths. Yeah. And you want to learn the basic foundation upon which you can build a practice. Yeah. The thing that's difficult in the West nowadays is people are exposed to so many teachers, but they haven't received the teachings on how to check up a teacher before forming a relationship and how to relate to that teacher afterwards. Yeah, because we all just go in and it's like, and Tibet is, that's neighbor to Shangri-La. Yeah, right? Everything Tibetan. Wow. The Tibetans really have it. Look at those hats, and the brocade and the long horns and the titles. Yeah, wow, Tibetan Buddhism, really magical, mystical. Yeah, that's what I want. Those holy pills, that blessed water. The protection cord. Actually, many protection cords. Yeah, because in the early days, we all gathered protection cords. So we had a bunch of them all around our neck where the lice lived. We were living in Nepal. Yeah, that's where the lice lived, in your protection cords. Great. Okay, so everybody has a different path and a way to find a teacher. Some things to look out for. And if you look in volume 2 of the Library of Wisdom and Compassion, the volume is called The Foundation of Buddhist Practice. There's several chapters about relating to the spiritual mentor. Yeah, that comes usually at the beginning of the Lam Rim. I tend to teach it very much later. But in thinking about how much confusion there is in the West about the relationship with the teacher, I decided to put it in volume 2, not in volume 9 or 10 or something like that. So, number 1, you want to see, does your teacher keep good ethical conduct? Yeah, that's really important. Ethical conduct is the foundation of trusting somebody. Okay. There was one person who, when I lived in Seattle, she came to my teachings, and then she was also going to the teachings of another Lama in another center. And she told me one day, she said, yeah, that other Lama, he teaches really, I really like his teachings, but we found him passed out drunk on the sidewalk the other day. So I kind of, I like the way you behave better. Yeah, but she still was going back. She still had confidence in that teacher who was passed out drunk in the sidewalk. I know for me, I wouldn't have gone near that place again. Yeah, because I know I need a teacher who's clean, clear, ethically, with intoxicants, everything, But, I don't know if she actually stepped with her. Some of you know she didn't. Some of you knew her. Yeah. Anyway, we don't know what happened. Yeah, but it's, in the text, it says, check if they keep good ethical conduct. Check if they have some meditation experience. Check if they have a good relationship with their own teacher. Yeah, because there is a group around here, in the West now, that criticizes the Dalai Lama. And their teacher was initially, everybody thought, was a disciple of His Holiness. So that, somebody who is demonstrating in public against His Holiness, that would make me turn the other direction. Yeah, because I know His Holiness quite well, and I've listened to his teachings for years and years and years. Check out, why is that teacher teaching? Yeah, are they trying to create a following and an institution where they have all these little groupies following after them? Is that the feeling you get? Are they somebody who really likes to receive a lot of donations and a lot of offerings, and is always pointing to where to put the offerings, or always asking you for money or something? So check up how you feel about what's coming from the teacher. How much do they care about the students, and how much could be looking for something from the students? Okay, check, how much the teacher has studied. Yeah, do they know, something about the entire path, or do they only know one specific area? Yeah, they may specialize in a specific area, but good teachers are going to know something about the entire path. Okay, so you want to check up on these. Observe how they relate to teachers. Are the male teachers putting their arms around the women all the time? Yeah, just be aware, and especially for women, you only do what feels comfortable to you. And if somebody says, "Oh, well, this goes for men too." I had a male friend where the teacher says, "You are my special disciple. I've been waiting for you. You're my special disciple." Yeah. So my friend, who was a man, the teacher said that to him. He thought, wow. So he went whole hog, really helping that teacher and helping, the organization, and da 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 da. He thought that teacher was marvelous, until he realized that the teacher was molesting his 2 teenage daughters. And then he realized that was charlatananda. Yeah, people know charlatan ananda. Okay, so and so similarly with women, if the teacher say, "Oh, come, I'll give you a special teaching. You're the one I've been waiting for. You're a dakini. Yeah, just come to my room." Don't go. You came to learn the Dharma. Yeah. Yeah. And all of us, what we come for the Dharma, don't we? We don't come so that some charlatananda will make us their special disciple, so that we can feel good about ourselves or feel that we're special or whatever. Yeah. So any shenanigans like that, anything involving money, yeah, the teacher, who knows what's going on with the money, be aware of those things. I'm not saying be suspicious everywhere you go. You're suspicious like this, because if you're suspicious like that, you're never going to have faith. And without any kind of faith and trust, you're not going to get anywhere in the practice. You're going to be sitting there criticizing whoever is trying to teach you. Yeah, so that's no help. But I'm just saying, be aware. Okay, that's all. And you know, after you get to know a teacher for a while, then, you know, yeah, it's not a big deal to you because you've really checked them out, you've trusted them. Okay, I have more questions to get through here. Okay, what conditions does Venerable Chodron see as necessary for a good teacher-student relationship in terms of the framework and forms of the relationship? I think when you regularly go to teachings with somebody, that makes the relationship much firmer. Because teachings are the link. Yeah, teachings are the link. And also volunteering service, you know, people who you see around who believe, you know, maybe lay people, they believe in what we monastics are doing. They want to support it. They come and they volunteer and they help. That helps create a very close relationship, you know. And we see that when we had to evacuate because of the fire, these people took us in, and then we really got to know them quite well, and they got to know us quite well, you know. And I think it was a really beneficial thing for everybody involved. Yeah. So those kinds of things bring a closer relationship. Also, if somebody practices, you know, if somebody is actually taking the teachings to heart, you know, not just coming to teachings, not just volunteering, but actually doing the practices. And you can tell when somebody is doing the practices, okay? You can tell because sometimes you come to teach, you know, and you ask the audience a question about something that you've already taught, and then they look at you like, then you know, oh, they haven't been practicing. Yeah. But other people, when you ask the question, they raise their hand. They've been reviewing their notes. They've been meditating on the topic. Yeah. So, you know, practicing really makes the relationship close, because what's happening is your motivation is beginning to change and become more like the teacher's motivation. So one thing I saw one time, this really, there were no words, but this is how I knew what is, you know, when you're close to a teacher, is Kyabje Sang Rinpoche. This is the previous one. Okay. The current one is really great. I hope he'll come here one day. But this was the previous one. So he was one of Lama Yeshe's teachers. Yeah. And Rinpoche, Lama had invited Sang Rinpoche to give some teachings. And so he was sitting on the teacher's seat at Tushita. And Lama Yeshe was kneeling on the floor besides Rinpoche, asking Sang Rinpoche a question, or they were discussing some dharma, something. And I just happened to be there walking by or something. But I looked at Lama's face and I looked at Kyabje Sang Rinpoche's face. And it was like, that's a student-teacher relationship. You know, that's what it means. Because what was bonding them, the two of them, what was bringing them so close together was bodhicitta. Yeah, Sang Rinpoche undoubtedly had that. Lama Yeshe also, he had been cultivating that. Then he's there with his teacher, you know, their two minds are becoming similar. Yeah, and so that is a really close relationship with your teacher. And so that's something that you build up over time. Yeah, it doesn't come instantaneously. It gets built up over time. It gets built up, yeah, over hearing teachings, over doing your practice, over, offering service, over all, all those kinds of things. Yeah. Okay. I'm a beginner in Buddhism and haven't established a regular practice yet. When are we ready to have a spiritual mentor? Is it good to establish this relationship from the start, or do we need to be somewhat advanced in our experience? Again, this is something that's different for each person. Yeah. Some people, like I happened to meet after these first two things I went to, meet people who I just kept following and coming back, and there was a relationship. Yeah. I mean, I needed that because I knew nothing, zero. I didn't know the difference between Hinduism and Buddhism. I didn't know the 4 Tibetan traditions. I didn't even know Theravada and Chinese, and I knew nothing, really nothing. All I knew is that what they said made sense, and it helped me when I practiced it. And that was good enough for me. Okay. So I needed that initial instruction. Yeah. I very much needed that. Yeah. Other people, as time went on, I developed relationships with other teachers. They began differently. One of my other teachers, it began with daily classes at the library, and then him teaching Arya Deva's the 400, which is not a beginner's text, but that was like, I was at a different point in my practice then, and especially the first 4 chapters of Arya Deva, like, whoa. Yeah, that cemented it. So it's really quite personal. Yeah, there's not a prescriptive way I can give you. Okay, in my life, I have personally met a few teachers whom I consider to be my teachers, to whom I feel connected, whose teachings touch me, and from whom I learn. However, I have almost never dared to ask one of these teachers a direct personal question or request a conversation. Okay, so let me pause here. Okay. How close we are to any of our particular teachers depends on us. We're the one who creates the relationship by going to teachings, by offering service, by practicing, and so on. Okay. So you can have a teacher that you met online that you feel connected, and you feel that person is one of your teachers. That's coming from you. They may not know you, if the relationship's only online. Okay. But with this person, that wasn't the only thing. They went on to say, for why they never requested an interview or a conversation with their teacher. I never felt worthy enough to do so. Okay, that is something you have to get over. Yeah, it's important that you feel worthy enough to receive the teacher's words. That doesn't mean you go and invent some topic of conversation because you want to talk to them. No, you go because there's something you want to talk about and that you need to talk about in terms of your practice. That's when you request a conversation. If you're living in the same place with your teacher, you're going to have a lot of interaction. and you're going to get a lot of training at the moment, which you may want and sometimes you don't want. Like when your teacher goes, really? Yeah, after you said something or did something. Yeah. What's the word? No, not inauspicious. Audacious. Audacious. Yeah. And your teacher's going, oh, really? Okay. So you ask because you want to learn from them, and you have a Dharma question. So you're not just going to chit chat and take up their time. But you've always got to feel worthy of being a student. Yeah, because if you feel, everybody else has Buddha nature, but when they passed it out, they skipped me. So I can't practice this path. If you think like that, you have a very stubborn, wrong view, and that's going to be a big hindrance. Yeah. So I'm not talking about being arrogant. I'm not talking about thinking you're the best disciple. Stop competing with everybody else. Okay. I'm talking about respecting yourself, and it's important that you respect yourself as a student. Okay. Then this person said, can I still talk about my teachers? In other words, I haven't talked to them personally. No, I haven't felt worthy. Can I still call them my teachers? Yes, you can call them your teachers, but you should realize that it's, if you've never met them in person, or the only time you met them in person was standing in line at the Indian visa renewal place, then that's not enough. You need to make it more. Okay, so at what point is someone your teacher? When you decide they're your teacher. Yeah. Usually they say, if you take precepts, any of the kinds of precepts, pratimoksha, bodhisattva, tantric precepts, if you take precepts from somebody, they automatically become one of your teachers, especially if you take the bodhisattva precepts. If you take a tantric empowerment, they become one of your teachers. Okay, I didn't know any of this when I started, but this is something that, you learn as you go on. But I think knowing that means that before you take precepts or empowerments or whatever from somebody, you should check out their qualities, because they're going to become one of your teachers. Yeah. It also means that, that you can say that they're your teacher and you follow them, but maybe you should, make some effort to actually get to know them on by going to a retreat or something that they're leading. Okay, and it's you who decide that they're your teacher. Yeah. So somebody comes up and says, I'm the teacher you've always been waiting for. Wait a little longer. Okay. Do I have to be in regular contact? No. You don't have to be in regular contact. You don't have to write your teacher every Monday morning saying, hi, I did my meditation practice, send me some good advice, and then His Holiness is with hundreds of thousands, millions of people writing little advice to everybody Monday morning. No, so you don't need to be in constant contact like that. As your meditation practice develops, you do the Guru Yoga practice, the feeling of closeness with your teacher is right here. Yeah. And you may not need as much personal time with them. But if you have that time, that doesn't mean you stop going to teachings. You still, if those teachings are valuable to you, you still go. When His Holiness teaches, you see all these lamas who themselves teach those texts, going to listen to His Holiness talk about precious human life at the very beginning. Why do they go? Yeah. They say, well, I've learned that for the last 75 years. I teach it myself. Why am I going to that? Well, because they have a relationship with His Holiness, and they know the more they hear a certain teaching, even if you've heard it godzillion times, godzillion and one times matters. The more you hear it, the more it goes in. Okay, so, all those lamas are there. Okay. Do I accumulate negative karma if, for example, I have no direct connection to the teacher I took refuge with many years ago due to a change of location? No. They maybe are teaching primarily in Timbuktu and you're in Timbuktu. I don't know, they're in Timbuktu and you're, in Hawaii. It's hard to go. Yeah. But, and so the distance isn't, well, I want to stay away from that teacher. I don't trust them anymore. That's not it. In your heart, you still have that relationship. Yeah. What breaks the relationship is if you start criticizing your teacher, you start spreading false rumors and false information, you steal from the teacher, these kinds of things. That breaks the relationship, because when that happens, there's no trust. Yeah, there's no trust. And so trust is really, I think, the key in this relationship. So we have to make ourselves into trustworthy disciples, and the teachers have to be trustworthy teachers. Yeah. When I meditate, I have problems imagining the Buddha. It's easier for me to visualize the image of a living person I know. Lots of people say this. My teacher, for example, is that okay? And also an option for the death process, for example. Okay, when you do any of your practices, when you're taking refuge and generating bodhicitta or the 7 limbs or whatever, you're visualizing the merit field. Okay, so Shakyamuni Buddha is there. What's very good to do is think that your teacher's mind is the same as Shakyamuni Buddha's mind. Okay, so you're not visualizing your teacher. You're visualizing the Buddha, but you're thinking, oh, the bodhicitta that the Buddha has, my teacher's practicing that also. Yeah, and that's what they're showing me the example of through their life, and that's what they're teaching me about. Okay, so what you want to do is, you see, there's a certain kind of danger if we focus too much on the guru and think of, the guru meaning that particular person that I can see with my eyes that cracks jokes or whatever. If we think that person is my refuge, because that person's life is impermanent and at some point they're going to die. And if you think that person who I need in my life to learn the Dharma, when they die, then you have no refuge. And I've seen people who have had just, a wonderfully close relationship with their teacher, but it was always the teacher's personality. They knew the teacher's qualities, but they emphasized the personality, that connection with a living being, more than they emphasize the qualities. And you need both. You need a living teacher who shows an example, but you need to recognize that it's not that personality, and you don't need that person there holding your hand, because at some point one of you is going to die, and you may die first, and they may not be there to hold your hand, or they may die first and you're not going to be around, or even if you're around, there's a lot of other people, a lot of other stuff going on. So you have to see, really, focus on the qualities, and that teacher has those qualities, and they're teaching me how to have them as well. Okay. Then if your teacher passes away, you continue your practice. In fact, in some ways, your practice becomes stronger, because I know for myself, many of the things that my early teachers taught, I did not understand at that time. It's only decades later that I understand what they were teaching during a teaching. Oh, that's what they meant, like, duh. But at that time, I was going, duh, I don't understand. Why is that valuable? Or it just totally passed by me. It's only later. Wow. I wish I had understood that earlier. Okay. But yeah, so it's a personal relationship, but it's a relationship about qualities too. Yeah. And we can't expect our teacher to physically be there when we're dying. But if you train your mind well, and you're meditating on the teachings your teacher gave, then when you're dying, you will remember those teachings. You will remember your teacher. You will have refuge at that time. Yeah, because you've built up your refuge over years. If you spend time just criticizing your teacher and talking about, oh, the teacher did this, did that, they're doing this and that to this person. Oh, did you see that the teacher did this? I know what the teacher's real motivation is. It's not so good. Oh, I know that I saw the teacher do that. That wasn't so good either. If that's what's going on in your mind all the time, you may be physically in the presence of the teacher, but you don't have a student-teacher relationship. Yeah. So you need to be careful of that. Because I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I have a PhD, not only in complaining, which you also know, but I also have a second PhD in judging other people. Yeah, I think a couple of you may have been in the PhD program perfecting the skill of judging other people together with me, or a few of you there. Yeah. So I'm really good at judging other people. Yeah. And I pride myself in that. But the thing is, okay, if you apply that speciality of judging everybody, yeah, okay, then it means you're convinced that all your opinions and all your judgments are true. Yeah. Of course my opinions are true. I would never have an opinion that is false. Why? Because I'm for truth. Yeah. And the election was a fraud, and you build your whole life on that. The teacher's a fraud. I don't know what thing it is. You pick your own thing, and and you believe it. Yeah. And I saw that teacher when they had chocolate cake out, they took 2 pieces. Actually, they took 3, but I don't want to make it sound so bad. Yeah, they have no renunciation. They are so attached to sugar, chocolate, and they took their 3 pieces of chocolate before I got to the dessert table, so I didn't get any. What kind of teacher is this? Totally degraded. Yeah. Okay. And then you tell all the other disciples, yeah, did you see them take the 3 pieces? Did you see? Yeah, it's true. I saw them. 3 pieces of chocolate cake. Yeah. Now this is confidential. I'm only telling you. Don't tell anybody else. Yeah. And then the next day, yeah, of course, everybody knows it. Yeah. So if this is how you're approaching a teacher, you're going to have a lot of problems. Okay? And if you think you know the teacher's mind and can read their motivation, and you know why they're saying a specific thing to a specific disciple, then, maybe you should sit on the altar and proclaim yourself to be Shakyamuni Buddha, because you know the karma and minds of all sentient beings now. Okay, if you feel like you really want to sit on the altar, yeah, we can make you into a statue. That'll shut you up. No, we have to, really look, because, where I really noticed this, okay. So there were a few things. First of all, okay, one of my teachers loves to teach at night. He comes alive at night. Yeah, I am a morning person. I like to get up early. I do the day. By the evening, I'm tired. I'm getting ready to go to sleep. Well, at the time I'm ready to go to sleep, teachings were scheduled for 7:00. It's 9 or it's 10. I'm ready to go to sleep. My teacher still hasn't come. Maybe they come at 11. They start the teachings then, and they go to 4 or 5 in the morning, which is the time when I want to be waking up after having slept. And it drove me crazy, And so my opinion factory, why do they do this? Why are they teaching? We're all half asleep. Some of us are totally asleep. The teaching's not going. Why are they doing this? They should teach early. They should teach there's a time schedule. Yes? And if things are supposed to start at 7, they should start at 7. At the most, 7:10, but not later. We have to be on time. We have to set a good example. Oh, this is driving me crazy. And my teacher made decisions based on mo's. Every decision was based on a mo. So you're in charge of a group, and you're looking for property to buy. And one day you get the mo, and the mo said, very good, go for that. Next day you get the mo, oh, I checked again, it's not very good. And the next day, oh, but you should go and talk to them and see about this and this. this drove me crazy. Why is my teacher doing this? Yeah. I grew up in a country, well, okay, Nancy Reagan went to astrologers, but the president didn't do moves. Okay, so this was a big thing for me, and then I had to really, then a bunch of other things happened. And then I had to really sit down and think, okay, this is a free world. People can make their own decisions. Yeah. If he wants to start the teachings at 7, he's in charge. He can start them at 11 or midnight. That is the teacher's prerogative. He's not doing things at the time that I dictate because that's good for me. He's doing it when he feels it's best, and I have to adjust. Okay. Then there was, the Mo thing, Again, it's a free world. He likes to do Mo's and makes decisions with Mo's. That's fine. That's none of my business. I didn't come here to learn Mo's. I came here to learn the teachings. I'm learning the teachings. Yeah, I'm learning how, I want to develop the ability to be sensitive to other people, to know the teachings well, so I can figure out what is the best way to act in certain situations. So that's how I'm learning what to do, how to make decisions. And I developed my own criteria for making decisions. Yeah, first one was, what situation can I keep my precepts and live in ethical conduct better? Second thing is, which choice of many will enable me to develop bodhicitta easier, or at least not destroy my bodhicitta, whatever I have. Yeah, and those are my criteria, and that's what I use. My teacher likes to ask Palden Lama or I don't know who. That's fine, it's a free world. Okay. I have another teacher. Oh, this is one of my other precious teachers. And he was huge. I had a couple of teachers which were huge. And, he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you got to stop drinking Tibetan tea. It's full of salt. It's full of butter. It's not good for you. And don't drink sweet tea either. It's full of sugar and you have diabetes. So, I want to put you on a diet so that, you lose some weight and you can remain healthy. Well, and this applies not only to that teacher. I've heard this from many other Western students with their Tibetan teachers who are told by the doctor that they need to go on a diet. They don't want to. Yeah. Yeah. Here was this brilliant teacher who we wanted to keep alive, who was saying, practice what I teach. And we're saying, practice what the doctor teaches. And they drink Tibetan tea and, or they have sweet tea. They're eating tsampa with so much butter, and you're just looking at that saying, please live long. And they're like enjoying it. Well, you know what? It's a free world. And they can decide what they want to eat without me pestering them and nagging them. The doctor told them they're making their own decision. Yeah, I'm not going to, I'm going to pray for my teacher's long life, of course, but I'm not going to get all bummed out about this and say, why is he doing this? He's telling us to follow his teachings, but he's not following the teachings of the doctor. It's like, where's that going to get me? Okay? You know, one of my teachers thought George W. was a great president. This was before Donnie. Okay, but he thought George W. was a great president because George W., you know, talked to China and said you need to have human rights in countries like Tibet. Okay, the fact that George W., you know, invaded Iraq, the fact that he started all these wars that didn't need to be, you know, everything else he did, the reasons why I didn't like him as president, they didn't matter to my teacher. What mattered to him was that he was behind Tibet and spoke up for Tibet. Well, did I come here to learn politics, or did I come here to learn the Dharma? Yeah. Do I have to believe what my teacher believes about politics? Do I have to argue with him if we have different opinions? No, that's not why I came here. Yeah. I came here to learn the Madhyamika view, and I'll argue about that. Yeah. But politics, yeah, the role of women, I'm not here to learn that either. I have my own ideas. My teacher may have their own. That's okay. Okay, so why am I on this? What I'm getting at, my point is, you know, don't trust your own opinions and your own judgments so well and expect that any reasonable, intelligent person like you would believe the same thing that you believe. Even though you're sure that if they are reasonable and intelligent, they will have the same, and they should if they don't, right? Yeah. Okay, so be careful of that one. So how did I get to all of that? When in your practices, you're visualizing the Buddha. You think of that person as your teacher. I wouldn't visualize the teacher's face. Yeah, because you don't want to make that too solid. Yeah. If when we help our teachers with projects, we continually mess things up and don't do things to our teacher's satisfaction, what do we do? You take a box of tissues, you go over in that corner and you cry. Alternatively, you put on a jacket, or you don't even care that it's 7 degrees below, and you walk down that hill as fast as you can because you are furious and heating up the whole environment with the steam coming out of your nostrils. Okay. Yeah. What do? You make a mistake. Yeah. You go and you say, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm learning, you know, I still don't understand what to do. Please explain it to me again. Or, oh, now I figured out what to do and I wasn't thinking, you know, so I'm sorry. Yeah. You don't, do I just not help with projects anymore? You criticize me about how I put the books in the library shelf, so I'm not putting books in the library shelf anymore. I'm not doing anything for you anymore. Yeah, you can do that. You don't help with projects anymore. I'm not going to do that. How do we clear this karma so it doesn't keep happening in the future lifetimes? First of all, make sure you aren't being too hard on yourself. Yeah, I've had people come and apologize to me for doing things that I don't even remember them doing. Of course, the things I do remember them doing, they do not come and apologize for. Yeah, I always wonder, you know, didn't they get the point? That one needs an apology. No, they don't apologize. But the things that I don't remember, oh, I'm so sorry. What are you talking about? Okay. Okay. So basically, how do you clear karma with, I don't care who it's with, purification practice? You do the 4 opponent powers. Yeah, and that's important. That's important to do. Okay. So one way that when we have a teacher and we see how judgmental we are of the teacher, and we've had teachings in which the masters tell us how detrimental it is to our own practice to criticize the teacher or spread false rumors or my opinions about the teacher. Yeah. And you know that that's creating negative karma. And you know that your relationship with your teacher is important. Then, because that's a very karmic, rich relationship and a very important relationship, when you have that angry mind, you very quickly can identify that's anger. I don't want to have that. It's destroying my merit. Yeah. So because that's so strong with the teacher, it helps you right away identify your anger and make amends. Yeah. Then if you can do that with your teacher, you can learn to do it with other sentient beings. Okay. Yeah. If you get up enough guts to apologize to your teacher, then maybe you can apologize to other sentient beings and make amends with them too. Okay. So we also learn a lot in this way in the relationship with our teacher. Okay. If a student does something that broke the trust of the teacher, for example, they lied to the teacher or they didn't listen to the teacher's guidance, how can they work on regaining the trust? Again, 4 opponent powers, doing purification, reflecting on, okay, I lied to the teacher. Why did I lie? And did I know I was lying? And your first thought is, no, I didn't really know I was lying. And you believe that for a while. Then, well, I knew I was lying, but it was something so small, I knew it didn't really matter. I don't need to apologize. And you believe that for a while. Then maybe a couple of years later, you go, okay, I got to be honest with myself. I lied to my teacher. And then you go and you say, I'm sorry, because when you lie to your teacher, you're creating a barrier. Yeah. Because if you can't be honest with them, it means you don't trust them. If you don't trust them, then they're not going to, it doesn't make any sense for them to, do a lot of things. So it's very important to keep that trust in our heart, That doesn't mean every morning you go and apologize to your teacher. Yeah. But when you did something that you realize is really breaking the trust, one time something happened. I don't know what was going on, but anyway, I was walking by somebody who was working downstairs. This was many years ago. That person isn't here now. And I asked that person a question and they gave me an answer. And I knew what they were saying wasn't true. Yeah, it was the kind of question of, did you do this? Like this needed to be done. Did you do it? In other words, did it get done? It wasn't a hard question. You say yes, you say no. I said yes. Well, I knew it wasn't done. Yeah. And so that kind of thing we need to watch out for, because it's so easy. We want to cover our butt, don't we? We don't want to look bad in front of our teacher. So we'll say yes when it's something small. But our definition of something small grows over time. So then it becomes big lies over important things. Yeah. So, if you realize that, then you go and, when you go to see your teacher, you make prostrations, you make an offering, you kneel down, and you make amends. Okay. You don't kind of stride in and say, "Hi, teach, I lied to you 15 years ago when I told you blah, blah, blah. Okay, now I confess to you. Bye." No, when you apologize to your teacher, to any sentient being, it has to be something coming from our hearts, showing that we've learned something from the experience and that we regret that. Okay, we are nearing the end, even though we're over time. If somebody has taken refuge with the guru and the three jewels, but then after many years of studying Buddhist philosophy with this guru, and also with many books by other authors, if then the student becomes aware that he definitely has a different philosophical view than the root guru, for example, a different view about the two truths, what is the highest view, Yogacarya or Madhyamika, should this student look for another Mahayana teacher to take refuge, although all other teachings and the conduct and life of this first guru is fine for this student? Well, you know the story of Atisha, who went to Indonesia to look for Sir Lingpa to teach him the mind training teachings, which, due to Lama Atisha's kindness, we have access to these teachings now. Lama Sir Lingpa held the Yogacarya view. Atisha held the Madhyamika view. Yeah. Atisha was Lama Sir Lingpa's disciple because, and when it's said that when Atisha even heard the name of his teacher, tears came to his eyes. That's how much he valued Lama Sir Lingpa. So, where am I? I got lost in that. Yeah. So, that Lama has a Yogacarya view. You have a Madhyamika view. Yeah. Everything else they teach you is spot on and changes your heart. Are you going to go and say, you have the wrong view? No. Yeah. If those teachings, on the view aren't resonating with you, you can leave them. Go to all the other teachings. That teacher is your teacher. You chose them for some reason because the teachings were meaningful to you. If you want to learn, who knows what else, you can go to another teacher and learn that. Okay, that's fine. But you can have more than one teacher. Yeah. But make sure that if you disagree with the view with this teacher, that you really understand what the correct view is before you say, I'm not listening to your teachings on the view anymore. Okay? Because understanding the view correctly is difficult. Yeah. And especially, everybody wants to learn as much Dharma as they can. So you read a lot of books. but you read by this Lama and 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 that Lama and who and how. And they're all from different lineages. They're all from different traditions. They're all teaching different practices. And they all have a different way of explaining the view. Yeah, they may have different views. They may not. But we're not necessarily astute enough whether to tell if they have the same view or not. Yeah. And even if they have another view, it sometimes may be helpful for us to learn that view. You know, my teachers of Vibhasika, oh, they taught Vibhasika stuff. That's the lowest school, you know. I want a Madhyamika teacher because I am an advanced, you know, somebody. You know, be careful of that kind of mind. Yeah. And be careful of, you know, are you reading things from all over the, you know, map without understanding any of them very well? If you understand one tradition well, then when you read some of the things by other lamas, you understand it, even though the words sometimes may be different. Yeah. Or you may understand, oh, this is a Vibhasika view, but you know, it's helpful for me to meditate on that sometimes because I don't really understand the Madhyamika. Okay? So, yeah, so if this teacher, you agree on everything else, you know, listen, I mean, if they're teaching you bodhicitta and karma and everything else, the four truths, those are reliable teachings. You need to hear them. You can go to somebody else and learn the view, but make sure who you're learning the view from has a correct view. Yeah. Because if you're just reading books and you have no time in a session for question, you know, question and answer, then you never really understand what's going on. Both Venerable Sangha Kagyu and I studied with Geshe Jumpa Tekchok, you know, who was a Larampa Geshe, and he would, you know, he could teach anything. Anyway, he would teach. Venerable SK, you know, she's very sweet and kind and stuff. She didn't ask too many questions. Me, you know, somehow I wound up sitting right in front of Then there was one other monk who, you know, we would look at each other, you know, because we both usually had the same question. Genla, how can you say no when you just said no? You know, and we were always throwing questions at him. Yeah. You know, sometimes he didn't look at me because it was like, okay, kid, enough already. But, you know, I think he really enjoyed the questions too. And we got, you know, that enabled us to really understand more what he was saying, you know. And also in the evenings, we went home and we went over our notes and we studied our notes. So when we asked a question, we, you know, had heard something, even if we didn't understand it well. Okay. Okay, so I think I tried to answer all the questions. We'll just go till 11 o'clock, huh? Sorry, whoever I'm cutting out. Who's next? What? Discussion. Okay. Huh? Oh, I thought it went to 11. Anyway, if there are a couple of questions, we can take them. Yes.
Venerable, if the teacher breaks samaya, is it the responsibility of the student to fix it, of the teacher to fix it? How is that fixed? Is there any way to fix it?
Okay, what do you mean by breaking samaya? What are examples of it?
Well, the teacher has done something to harm the student in some way. And so there is no trust.
The harm that is real harm, or harm that's just a difference of opinion?
No, harm that's real.
Harm that's real.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's if the teacher did that, it's certainly not the student's responsibility. They didn't do anything. Don't blame yourself for things you didn't do. You know, if you know, in a case of abuse, if you led the teacher on and you're showing a lot of interest and then they come after you, okay, you have some responsibility there. But if, you know, you had absolutely no interest and this person is pushing, you have no responsibility. Okay. So, you know, it takes a lot for a teacher to apologize. I had remarkably fantastic teachers. There was never a time when a teacher apologized to me for something they had done that was really wrong. But one teacher did apologize to me. And this is an interesting situation. I was at a Dharma center working as the spiritual program coordinator, and he was sent there fresh out of the mountains. He had been in long retreat, had no wish to go to the West. His Holiness sent him to the West. He had been a monk since he was this big. He had never worked with a woman before. He didn't know anything about it. He didn't know anything about Western Dharma centers and that you have to form a schedule and make a brochure about the schedule so that people will know and they'll know when to come. So I would go to him and want to sit down and make the schedule. And he didn't want to do that because in Tibet, they never made a schedule. You know, it was word of mouth and somebody, you know, everybody knew and they just turned up at the right time. Yeah. So he didn't understand that. I always puzzled, why doesn't he want to do this? But anyway, we survived. Then years later, you know, because I mean, I really love this teacher. And he was such a good example for me. And I went to visit him. We were both in Dharamsala at the time. And he said, you know, I'm sorry, when you came to ask me all those questions, I didn't understand about how things are done in Dharma centers. And for me, it was like, oh, you don't need to apologize for that, you know, but he did, he wanted to. Yeah. Okay. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yeah. You know, if the teacher really harms you, yeah, then yeah, what is holy, and the trust is broken. Yeah. What His Holiness says in those situations is you respectfully keep a distance. Yeah. So you don't go and say, that teacher, he did this, he did that. Okay. Yeah. And do a whole hullabaloo and get everybody all stirred up about everything. Yeah. And slander the teacher. And, you know, he did one thing and then all of a sudden he also did all these other things that you got to criticize. You don't do that. What His Holiness said is, in your mind, that person helped you in the Dharma at some point in your path. Yeah, did they help you at some point? Yeah. So for what they did to help you at that point, you know, you're grateful. You're grateful. You see them as one of your teachers, and you're grateful for how they helped you at that time. Yeah. But now on keeping a respectful distance, on cultivating relationships with other teachers. So I'm not going back to hear the teachings again from that. But I'm peaceful in my heart, because we like to feel gratitude, don't we? And if that teacher did do something that helped us, to feel gratitude for that. We don't feel gratitude for the abuse. Yeah.
So the cases are, I mean, there are some people out there who feel that their teacher has broken the Samaya for one reason or another, and because they felt such a strong connection, that they do feel it very personally at a very deep level. And you know, the cases are seen of people turning away from the Dharma, people turning away from the path. And so I think that we need to hear more about how to deal with those situations in a positive and constructive way.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that is so sad when somebody turns away from the Dharma based on the bad behavior of one teacher. You know, that's a very human thing to do. One person harms you. I mean, as human beings, somebody harmed you. I am never speaking to them again. They have no good qualities. Everybody that they are associated with is negative. You know, I hate them, and I am entitled to hate them because the whole meaning of their life was this one abusive thing to me that they did to me that hurt me so badly. It's very easy to think that way. I mean, people in society do it all those times. You know, I come from a toxic family. I'm not talking to any of them anymore. You know, this happens all the time. We have very black and white minds. Yeah. And a black and white mind is not helpful. Yeah. So, but we also have standards. Yeah. And if there are standards for proper behavior, if somebody goes beyond that behavior, it breaks the trust. But what's very interesting as I watch in Western Dharma centers is when this happens, and there've been big scandals in some very big organizations who had very famous teachers. And some students said, that's abuse. I can't go there anymore. I don't want anything to do with it. Or, and I'm stopping the Dharma. Some, which is really sad, don't blame the Dharma for this. This is the behavior of one person's berserky mind. It's not the fault of the Dharma. But, you know, they just, yeah, I have no trust in them. I don't trust any other teachers. Just forget it. If you think like that, it's very easy. You're hurt. You put everybody in the same basket and you lock them in a jail. And that's all I'm ever going to think about that person. Yeah. Then, okay, other people in the organization say, oh, that's small. That's not a big deal to me. I wasn't the person hurt. I didn't see that behavior as so bad. Anyway, the behavior was bad, but they do so many good things, you know, and they're still my teacher, and I still want to help this organization. And then what you have is a split in the organization. Yeah.
I just want to clarify that this is not an example I haven't been or something.
Yeah, it's not your personal example. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, then there's a split in the organization, because for some people, you know, what the teacher done, this is just, you know, it's written in the text that the teacher's not supposed to do it. And it goes beyond my personal idea of ethical conduct. But then like this woman who was going to the teachings of the teacher who was passed out on the sidewalk of Seattle. You know, that was, if that had been my teacher, it's like, yeah, but for her, she didn't like it, but he was doing other things, so she kept going, at least for a while. Yeah. So now what's happening in Dharma centers are, the centers are having codes of conduct. They're having a whole process set up. We are a monastery. We have the Vinaya. The Vinaya tells you how to deal with all these kinds of things. Okay. And we will do that. And we will also follow the law of the country. Yeah. But what other Dharma centers do, I mean, people do, they make so many decisions. I'm not Buddha. I can't say those are good or bad or whatever. I wouldn't do that. That's not what I would do or what I respect. That's as far as I can say. And some of the things, I've talked to people who have been abused. I've read what's online. It's like, I don't want to go anywhere near that. Yeah. But it was also very interesting to me. At one time in a big program, I was sharing a room. My roommate was the disciple of one of these teachers who sex and liquor and the whole 9 yards. And she said, that teacher really helped my life. My life was a mess. I met him. He taught me the Dharma. It helped me get clear. It helped me start being a better person. Here is somebody who told me that teacher, whose behavior I thought was a bit off, not a bit off the wall, very off the wall. She's saying, I'm grateful to him. I can't deny that. That's her experience. And I can't say, oh, he's an awful person. I can say a lot of people have been hurt by his behavior, but I cannot, we have to separate the behavior from the person. So you don't go near that behavior. If that teacher exhibits that behavior a lot, then you cultivate relationships with other teachers. Yeah. And in some cases, I mean, this definitely needs to be brought up publicly in the monastery, in the center, wherever it's happening. Yeah. But you follow channels. Hopefully the center has a channel and you follow that. And then it gets brought up in a good way to the group rather than everybody hear what I had to say kind of way. Okay. Yeah. But, people go to His Holiness and they say, why don't you do something about these teachers? And he says, well, I teach. If they don't listen to the teachings I give, then they're not going to listen if I say give them direct advice to their face either. Yeah, because people want him. He's not the Pope. People think the Dalai Lama is like a Pope and he can go, okay, you, yeah, you're out. That's not how the Tibetan structure, the spiritual structure works. He's not a Pope. He can't do that. Yeah? Do you have a question? No. Oh, okay. Anybody else? Okay. Then we will dedicate. And if, this is a good thing to talk about and, look and take it into your meditation, talk about it, really ask yourself, what kind of relationship do I want to have with my teacher? And, do I want one where we're very close? Do I want one that's not so close? Yeah, and then figure that out. Okay. And if there's more questions, we can go through them at a later time.
This ground,
This
David,
ground
anointed with perfume, flowers strewn Mount Meru, foreland, sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered to you. May all beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniryatayami.
Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May the born arise, decline, but increase forever.